Chen Xizhou is a native of this world. As a college student village official, he became the mayor of Langqi Town, a poor town. Elves in this real world are unknown, mysterious, and there is panic, disgust, prejudice, and expectation between humans and elves. Chen Xizhou's goal is to transforming Langqi Town from a poverty-stricken town to an elf metropolis. Establish a beautiful society where individuals and elves coexist harmoniously. Make elves the bond that everyone expects. Keywords: Pokémon, infrastructure, city, management, warm daily, relaxed, leisure and comfortable life, mine clearance. Smooth, safe, stable, and healthy development. Is there a female protagonist still thinking? Maybe one day she will appear. If she does, her name must be Nan Phone. Keywords of the novel. I am a fairy mayor in the real world without pop-ups. I am a fairy mayor in the real world. Download the complete text, and read the latest chapters of I Am a Fairy Mayor in the Real World. Chapter 1. Speech by the Mayor of Langqi Town. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Speech by the Mayor of Langqi Town in June of the first year of the lunar calendar. Birth. Huaxia Alliance. Langqi Town, Rongqing City, Fujian Province. In front of a dilapidated three-story building. On a platform that appears to be a temporary construction. The young man in formal attire looked at the thousands of villagers in front of him, who were crowded with people and somewhat noisy. I don't know if it's nervousness or excitement, but his body trembles slightly at a very low frequency. At this moment, Chen Xizhou took a sigh of relief and took a step forward. A slightly magnetic voice was transmitted through the microphone and then broadcasted to the ears of every villager. Dear fellow villagers, the transformation of Langqi Town is urgent. Since the City Alliance is unwilling to pass the project in our economic zone, let's do it ourselves. Work hard. For those unknown and mysterious warcraft, we need to make changes from basic cognition, transforming doubt, fear, and disgust towards them into trust, peace of mind, and love. I declare. Starting today, from top to bottom, from the Town Alliance cadres to every villager, we will all call Warcraft, Little Elves, in Langqi Town. Just as Chen Xizhou finished speaking, there was a heated discussion below the platform. In these discussions, except for a few disharmonious opposing voices, most of them are about longing for the future. This is a real world of unknown biological invasions. Just half a year ago, a large and diverse number of unknown creatures suddenly appeared in this comfortable real world. Grass, forest, small river, big river, mountains, desert, ocean, sky. As long as it's not a city or a place where there aren't many humans living, you can almost see these incredible creatures that are completely different from the original world. The earth has given them the identity of new inhabitants, and humans call them Warcraft. Mayor Chen, this demon next to you is not right. It should be a little elf. Have you given it a name? A bold villager shouted from below. There is a little elf lying beside Chen Xizhou. It is pink in color and has a chubby body. Its curly ears, combined with small pupils in its round and large eye sockets, make it look very simple and honest. However, at that time, the eyeballs that would occasionally turn around would give people a feeling of being ignorant. The premise is that you need to be able to capture this detail. Look at its silly appearance, otherwise we'll call it a silly beast, right? Chen Xizhou's words immediately aroused the recognition and praise of the villagers, because the name really fits the appearance of this little guy. They also have a rare fondness for this little elf who loves to eat small shells. Perhaps it's because I love my house and love my dog. This little elf named Dumb Beast has been following Chen Xizhou since his first day as the mayor of Langqi Town. In this period when humans and elves are not familiar with each other, most people are unwilling to come into contact with this mysterious group of unknown creatures. But out of reverence for the mayor, the dull beast naturally barely gained the acceptance of the Town Alliance cadres and fellow villagers. Ding, the host has completed the official naming of the sprites, and the sprite system has officially started. What? Chen Xizhou was startled by the sudden sound that appeared in his mind. Chen Xizhou did not let the sudden systemic voice affect him, whether it was a college-sent village official who had undergone extensive formal learning and strict training. He ended the morning town alliance meeting perfectly. As a member of the excellent college-sent village official team, although Chen Xizhou was the only outstanding student who was exceptionally promoted and directly appointed as the head of a town, he did not initially want such promotion. Langqi Town is really poor. This town built on an island has a significant gap in all aspects compared to other villages and towns on the mainland. Therefore, there is an evaluation that town is not as good as village. That's also why all college-sent village officials would rather become a real village official than become a town mayor in Langqi Town. There are 6 very important elements in urban development. The industrial factor is the most important of the 6 factors, and the other 5 factors act on the industrial factor. The land element ranks first among them. Land is the foundation of industry, and industry must be built on land. Langqi Island, where Langqi Town is located, is the 5th largest island in Fujian province, with a ratio of plain area to mountainous area of 2.1. The mysterious arrival of elves has expanded the entire world several times, and Langqi Island has benefited from it. So, in terms of land factors alone, Langqi Town has great development potential. The second element is population. The role of population in industries lies in the fact that population is a labor force, including both mental and physical abilities. This factor is a constraint on Langqi Town. Due to the long-term economic development and inability to attract talents, Langqi Town is also experiencing a continuous outflow of population. Under a vicious cycle, the number of permanent residents in Langqi Town is decreasing. This place is even known as the ghost town. As for technology, culture, and policy, all 3 elements need to be based on land, population, and industry. So in Langqi Town, where there is a shortage of population and industries are declining, things like technology, culture, and policies are all empty talk. If Chen Xizhou doesn't want to be the mayor of Langqi Town for a lifetime, he can only work hard to develop Langqi Town and lead it out of the current vicious cycle. Of course, if Chen Xizhou is content with the status quo, Langqi Town can also become a comfortable retirement place for him, with a lofty and distant emperor. Anyway, the Alliance headquarters has never had any expectations for Langqi Town. However, this is clearly not the dreamland of a vibrant and ambitious academic village official in his 20s, so Chen Xizhou is trying to make a change. The elf industry is the blue ocean industry he wants to support. In such a place full of waste waiting to be revitalized, without the constraints of traditional industries, Chen Xizhou saw a glimmer of promising future. The 3rd floor of the Town Alliance building, where the mayor's office is located. At this moment, Chen Xizhou was sitting in his office chair, lost in thought. In fact, he was checking the system that had accidentally stabbed him in the back just now. As a young person, Chen Xizhou quickly accepted this unexpected thing that existed in his mind. This self-proclaimed elf system currently only has 2 modules and a gray button. 2 modules, one is a system gift package, and the host can receive a gift from the elf tribe once a year from the system. One is the system function, where the host can view simple information descriptions of encountering sprites from the system. The gray button is an upgrade function, and the upgrade condition is that Langqi Town needs to make achievements in the primary, secondary, and tertiary industries. Chen Xizhou's gaze fell on the stunned beast beside him. Several messages popped up. Dumb beast. Dumb beast. Silly elf, the dull beast is always in a daze, making it difficult to figure out what it is thinking. Dumb beasts will exude a sweet taste from their tails, although they lack nutrition, biting them will give them a feeling of happiness. The system provides 2 pieces of information. To Chen Xizhou's surprise, the system information showed that the dumb beast was really called Dumb Beast, and he didn't give it the wrong name. The dumbfounded beast saw Chen Xizhou looking at it, as if it had a feeling of being seen through. It looked up in confusion and its eyes turned around before lying down on the ground as if nothing had happened. Just as Chen Xizhou wanted to further explore, a burst of noise disturbed him. New book, seeking everyone's support and support, end of this chapter. Chapter 2. Guanghui Village Fruit Planting Area. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2 Guanghui Village Fruit Planting Area. Upon hearing the noise coming from downstairs, Chen Xizhou quickly tidied up and left the office to the lobby on the first floor. Someone is causing trouble. No, it should be said that some villagers have reported problems. Chen Xizhou's appearance immediately caught the attention of everyone in the hall. After all, this new mayor, who has just taken office for 3 days, just announced this morning that he is preparing to make the elf industry the direction for the next major development of Langqi Town. Now is the time for him to make bold reforms. The first problem is now in front of us. Mayor Chen should be able to solve it, right? After seeing Chen Xizhou, Mayor's secretary Yu Zhen's eyes lit up and he immediately walked up to Chen Xizhou. She said to Chen Xizhou, Mayor Chen, they are villagers of Guanghui village who came specifically to report on the issue of the little elves destroying the fruit tree planting area. Chen Xizhou coughed and said loudly, I am Chen Xizhou. I believe everyone already knows me. If you have any situation, you can first ask the staff to register it. Please believe that the Town Alliance will take it seriously and help you solve the problem. The villagers immediately came to Chen Xizhou upon hearing this. However, after seeing the silly beast beside Chen Xizhou, they unconsciously took a step back. Although the cadres of the Town Alliance have become accustomed to the existence of the dull beast, most people in Langqi Town still have some fear of it. Mayor Chen, all the sweet melons in my house have been eaten by those little elves who look like goats. What should we do? And my family's vineyard, which is about to mature, has been devoured by them all. My children all rely on these grapes to pay their tuition fees, my goodness. After all, he was just a novice town mayor who had just graduated and had only been in office for less than a week. The villagers were crying and complaining to Chen Xizhou, leaving Chen Xizhou, who had never dealt with such a problem before, feeling somewhat at a loss for a moment. Yu Zhen saw Chen Xizhou's awkwardness and immediately stood in between Chen Xizhou and the villagers of Guanghui village. She loudly said, everyone, come to my place to queue up and register. After registration, go home first. The Town Alliance will arrange someone to help you evaluate the losses in the afternoon, and then have a meeting to discuss how to handle this matter. After helping Chen Xizhou shift the attention of the villagers, Yu Zhen asked several staff members who were already prepared to start registering for the villagers. After the villagers of Guanghui village moved their positions, Yu Zhen came to Chen Xizhou's side. She explained awkwardly, the losses during this period have accumulated a lot of resentment among the villagers of Guanghui village. If they are not allowed to vent their anger, they will continue to cause trouble. Yu Zhen is about 30 years old and is from Yojia village in Langqi Town. He has been working as a secretary for several years and is an elderly person left over from the previous town mayor. Although there is a saying that there is one emperor and one courtier, Chen Xizhou did not replace the mayor's secretary. Because during his brief contact with Yu Zhen, Chen Xizhou discovered that the woman's business ability was quite outstanding, so he decided to keep her by his side. It's okay. Chen Xizhou knew that Yu Zhen had just blocked his gun, but he didn't care. He looked at Yu Zhen in confusion and asked softly, Secretary Yu, generally speaking, a village's problem should be reported to the Town Alliance by the village head. Why do the villagers of Guanghui village come to the Town Alliance building by themselves? Is it true that the village head of Guanghui village? Chen Xizhou's intention is already very clear. He suspects that the village chief of Guanghui village is not taking action. Yu Zhen smiled and awkwardly replied, because this matter has been dragging on for a long time, it was a problem left over by Mayor Zhu at that time. As for the village chief of Guanghui village, the person who mentioned earlier that his sweet melon was eaten by the little elf was the village chief of Guanghui village, Yu Lijie. As they had already agreed to go out, in order to maintain the credibility of the town alliance, Chen Xizhou and Yushen brought several officials from the town alliance to the affected Guanghui village in the afternoon. Accompanied by Chen Xizhou's foolish beast. Guanghui village, located in the southwest corner of Langqi Island, is the largest fruit-growing area on the island. Therefore, every household in Guanghui village is a fruit farmer. The location of this fruit planting area is unique, and various factors make it not only produce amazing results, but also have excellent fruit quality. It is a high-quality fruit-producing area that is sufficient to supply the surrounding urban area. Just at this moment, the once vibrant and orderly fruit planting area became chaotic, and fruits such as oranges and grapes were also destroyed in a mess. Chen Xizhou looked at everything in front of him with great regret. Bah! Just as the town alliance evaluation team was advancing along the planting area, a group of little elves suddenly emerged from the mountains and entered the fruit planting area. The wooden fence set up by the fruit farmers around the planting area surprisingly had no blocking effect on this group of little elves. They are really too strong. These little elves are covered in furry dark brown fur, with a tuft of brown hair in the middle of their white faces and a pair of pointed black horns on their heads. As the farmers say, these little elves have a goat-like appearance. Except for their orange hooves, they all have a leafy green mane around their necks and a tail composed of 3 short leaves. This is a prominent feature of them. Chen Xizhou attempted to target the system scanning function on this group of little elves resembling goats. Mount the lamb, record it and call them little lambs to ride in the future. In addition to information about the names of elves, the system also provides more information about mounting lambs. Mounted lamb. Mounted elf. It is said that the mount lamb was one of the earliest elves to live with humans, with a gentle personality. If there is water and sunlight, riding a lamb can use the leaves on its back to generate energy, so it can survive even in rocky mountains. Without food can elves live with people? Chen Xizhou turned his gaze to the 2 giant and stronger goat elves led by the small flock of horses. Mount a goat. Record that the 2 leaders are called Mount Goat. The appearance of mounted goats is similar to that of mounted lambs, but they are larger in size and their eyes become more resolute, with longer horns on their heads. In addition, their entire bodies are no longer covered by a single layer of color, but with other different colors appearing. Mounted goat. Mounted elf. Mounted goats have a gentle personality and can be ridden on the back. The subtle differences in grip angles can read the trainer's mood, so they can run together with their hearts. Mounted goats live in groups in mountainous areas. They can use their horns to compete with each other for strength, and the victorious individual will become a leader. They have been assisting humans in their work since 50 years ago to this day, assisting humans in their work to this day. Another piece of information appeared in Chen Xizhou's mind, which gradually gave him a different idea of these so-called Mount Elves. Give it a try. Chen Xizhou tried to walk down the field ridge and slowly walked towards the direction where the mounted goat and the mounted lamb were. He is making an attempt, a bold attempt. Mayor Chen. Several exclamations of surprise came from the evaluation team, and everyone looked towards Chen Xizhou, who seemed somewhat reckless, with concern. New book, seeking everyone's support and support, end of this chapter. Chapter 3. The goat can surprisingly produce milk. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. The goat can surprisingly produce milk, Yadong. The silly beast, which had always been full of foolishness, rarely looked up at this moment. When he saw Chen Xizhou wanting to approach the wild elf alone, he exclaimed in surprise. Chen Xizhou ignored the voices behind him and, somewhat stubborn, decided to believe in the system and follow his own ideas. Several officials in the evaluation team saw that Chen Xizhou still insisted on his own views and cooperated, all of whom closed their mouths, afraid of disturbing the group of wild elves. Most people during this period had an attitude of disgust and fear towards elves. The stunned beast saw that Chen Xizhou didn't pay attention to itself, so it climbed down the field ridge with short legs and carefully followed behind Chen Xizhou. Mount goats and mount lambs also noticed Chen Xizhou's movements. Seeing that he did not curse or even throw stones at them like the people he had met before, both the mounted goat and the mounted lamb looked curiously at this bold human. This tribe is originally a group of gentle elves, and they seem to be looking forward to something. Although Chen Xizhou was only 200 meters away from the small mount sheep, he still spent twice as much time as usual, walking for almost 5 minutes to reach the small mount sheep. Hello, my name is Chen Xizhou and I am the mayor of Langqi Town, responsible for managing this Langqi island. Chen Xizhou first gave a brief self-introduction and then tentatively asked, "Can you understand what I'm saying?" Two mounted goats exchanged a glance at each other. The slightly larger one nodded at Chen Xizhou, indicating that he could understand human language. This response surprised Chen Xizhou. "Although I don't understand the meaning of the other party's call, even so, I can continue to communicate with this group of mounted elves unilaterally. Because the other party can understand and respond at the same time. This fruit planting area is the result of the villagers' years of hard work in Guanghui village. They need these mature or soon-to-mature fruits to feed their families. Your current behavior is harming their interests." Chen Xizhou's expression was somewhat serious. He felt that he had to make it clear to the other party that such behavior was unacceptable. After listening to Chen Xizhou's words, the two mounted goats glanced at each other again, and then looked at Chen Xizhou together. Their eyes were very humanized, revealing awkwardness and apology. It is obvious that the two mounted goats heard Chen Xizhou's words and understood the seriousness of this matter. Searching for food in the wild and seizing the fruits of others' labor are completely two separate behaviors. Mounted goats and mounted lambs can generally find food such as trees, fruits, and grass in the wild. However, tree fruits are naturally wild and grow in the wild, so there is no psychological burden to consume them. The only drawback is that tree fruit trees are very rare, and the fruit they produce is not many, which cannot meet the needs of the entire population. As for grass, this ubiquitous plant can fully meet the daily needs of the goat-riding tribe. The only drawback is that its taste, and most importantly, nutrition are not as good as tree fruits, and even inferior to ordinary fruits. Fruits are like a compromise substitute between tree fruits and grass. Although the nutritional value is not as good as tree fruits, it is higher than grass, and although the yield is not as good as grass, it is more than tree fruits. The only drawback is that it is a food grown by humans and belongs to others. Two mounted goats bent down and expressed their apologies to Chen Xizhou, then decided to leave with their tribe. They came up with a way to compensate the humans. That is to say, the mounted goat tribe is naturally gentle in nature. If it were to be treated differently by other wild elves with bad personalities. Those with poor temper may ignore Chen Xizhou's prevention and continue to eat fruits, while those with even worse temper may even directly attack Chen Xizhou. Seeing the group of mounted goats and mounted lambs preparing to leave, Chen Xizhou immediately became anxious. This is different from the result he originally imagined. Chen Xizhou hesitated for a moment before deciding to speak up. "Actually, if you have any special output or are willing to help us work, Langqi Town is willing to always provide you with enough fruits." The two mounted goats came to a tacit stop and turned their heads to confirm with Chen Xizhou. With a nod from Chen Xizhou, the two mounted goats discussed briefly and called out to the group of mounted lambs behind them, then waited for something. There was a slight commotion among the mount sheep due to the leader's command. After a while, a mounted lamb in the tribe came to the front of the team with a chewed melon in its mouth. The flesh inside the melon has been completely eaten, leaving only a golden outer skin. It is filled with milky white liquid. Is this goat milk? Chen Xizhou asked curiously. Chen Xizhou took the melon and tried to take a sip at the sign of riding a goat. Chen Xizhou has never tasted sheep's milk before, and the fruit skin of this melon is indeed filled with sheep's milk, but the taste is much better than normal sheep's milk. Normal sheep milk has a slight odor when first squeezed out. The goat milk produced by the riding lamb does not have this pungent smell, but instead has a unique fragrance that makes people unable to resist the urge to take a second sip. The most important thing is that at the moment of drinking sheep's milk, Chen Xizhou felt a warm current rushing through his body, and his whole body suddenly filled with strength. Is the effect so significant? Can long-term consumption of the milk produced by the mounted goat tribe allow humans to use various skills like elves? This is obviously Chen Xizhou overthinking. After drinking all the goat milk, Chen Xizhou couldn't help but give a thumbs up and said, "It's really delicious." Seeing that the milk he had produced was praised, the little mounted lamb shyly turned around and hid behind the mounted goat. 2 sheep eggs appeared in Chen Xizhou's eyes. Is this a male lamb? No, it should be said that this male mount is riding a lamb. In the animal kingdom, milk production is generally the responsibility of cows and sheep, as they have different physical structures, so they cannot produce milk. To confirm, Chen Xizhou looked at the little lamb on the mount and asked, "Is this the goat milk you gave birth to?" The little lamb on the mount was a bit flustered by Chen Xizhou's sudden question, hiding behind the goat and refusing to show his head. Chen Xizhou had no choice but to look at the mounted goat and said, "What I mean is, can the male mounted lamb also produce milk?" "Why not?" 2 mounted goats were confused by Chen Xizhou's question. The slightly larger mounted goat even publicly performed a ram milk production performance for Chen Xizhou. Confirmed that the egg is a male goat. The magic of nature lies in the fact that everything is regulated, with mutations and accidents occurring beyond regular operations. It was originally impossible for a ram to produce milk in the animal kingdom. But in the realm of elves, this impossible event seems to be a normal pattern. It's really amazing. I wonder if I can have some more goat milk for my subordinates to taste. Chen Xizhou asked with some embarrassment. In fact, the 2 mounted goats not only didn't care, but were also very happy. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Proud Village Chief of Guanghui Village. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4 Proud Village Chief of Guanghui Village. For mounted goats and mounted lambs, sharing is a very joyful thing. Especially the milk produced by oneself is not only accepted by the other party, but also praised as delicious by them, and it is the kind that they still want to drink. 2 mounted goats immediately indicate a large quantity and full management. Subsequently, the larger male mount goat let out a cry to the rear mount lambs, and several mount lambs walked towards Chen Xizhou with a few chewed melons in their mouths. These cantaloupes without exception contain goat milk produced by the riding lambs. Chen Xizhou waved to the evaluation team still standing on the field ridge. The cadres hesitated one after another. We need to cooperate well with Mayor Chen's work. Upon seeing the situation, Mayor's secretary Yu Qin took the lead in responding to Mayor Chen's call. With the leadership of Yu Qin, other cadres gradually walked down the fields and came behind Chen Xizhou. This goat milk is very good in both taste and taste. Would you like to try it? It was still Yu Qin, the secretary of the town mayor, who took the first action. She boldly stepped forward and took the goat's milk from the mouth of a riding lamb. After taking a glance, take a light sip. After the first sip, Yu Qin's eyes lit up and she drank the remaining sheep's milk in one gulp. It's really good, Yu Qin couldn't help but give a thumbs up. This kind of lamb grandmother fragrance is rich, with a mellow taste and a faint sweet aroma of grass. Yu Qin gave her final evaluation. It's much better than sheep's milk on the market. There is a local high goat in Langqi Town, which occasionally produces some goat milk, but its taste is far inferior to the goat milk produced by riding lambs. You guys should also try it. Before Chen Xizhou could finish speaking, the other 3 cadres also consciously picked up a melon of sheep milk and began to taste it. Yu Qin couldn't help but pick up another melon of sheep milk and drink it. Seeing a few people's slightly exaggerated expressions, Chen Xizhou understood that the goat milk produced by the mounted goat clan was definitely worth investing in. Just as Chen Xizhou was preparing to continue communication with the goat riding tribe, a large group of villagers from Guanghui village with weapons came running from a distance. It is said to be a weapon, but in fact, it is just some agricultural tools such as hoes and shovels. They rushed over anxiously while shouting loudly, "Mayor Chen, quickly stay away from these monsters, they are too dangerous." As they saw the other party getting closer, the two goats on horseback exchanged a glance, and then jumped over Chen Xizhou and his friends with ease, protecting them behind them. Two goat riders stood up, and then four strong and powerful front hooves smashed fiercely on the dirt, causing the ground to crack like a spider web. Shockingly knocked down a dozen or so nearby villagers, and the villagers behind them also stumbled and stood unsteadily. As for Chen Xizhou and his companions, although they were also affected, there was nothing wrong with them being leaned against by the suddenly approaching Mount Lam. Now not only Chen Xizhou, but also the other four cadres, including Yu Qin, are all impressed. It seems that these wild elves are still very friendly to them. This is a misunderstanding. It's a misunderstanding. Chen Xizhou immediately ran to the goats on horseback to stop them from continuing to attack the villagers. Upon seeing this, Yu Qin and others boldly crossed over two goats on horseback and helped up the villagers of Guanghui village who had been shaken down, stopping them while calming their emotions. It's not wrong to follow the mayor at this time. Chen Xizhou saw that the situation was under control and shouted at the village team, who is the village chief of Guanghui village. Yu Lijie, the head of Guanghui village, hesitated for a moment, but the thought of bringing the villagers to rescue the mayor made him instantly clear of guilt. He took a step forward to the front of the team, making himself more prominent so that the mayor could see clearly. Mayor Chen, the little old man, is the village chief of Guanghui village, Yu Lijie. Upon seeing it, Chen Xizhou was indeed the person who cried to himself this morning about the melon being dropped. Village chief Yu, there is a certain misunderstanding about this matter. Please ask the villagers to go back first, and leave other matters to the town alliance for handling. Upon hearing Chen Xizhou's words, Yu Lijie glanced at the two mounted goats still holding their horns, and then handed the hoe in his hand to a strong young man behind him. You go back first, I will report to Mayor Chen about our work and also reflect on everyone's difficulties. I believe Mayor Chen will definitely provide us with a satisfactory solution. Upon hearing these words, Chen Xizhou couldn't help but glance at Yu Lijie twice. The little old man looked quite honest, but he was actually a cunning person. This was a trick he had set for Chen Xizhou and the town alliance in public. This directly dispelled some of Chen Xizhou's original ideas. The villagers of Guanghui village heard their village head speak and turned around while complaining, holding their own agricultural tools and leaving. In pairs and threes, some even occasionally look back. Mayor Chen, these monsters have come to destroy our fruit trees again, and this time they will take you hostage. We must drive them out of the planting area. Yu Lijie shouted loudly. It can only be said that he is truly a person who has been the village chief for many years. His righteous appearance makes people unable to resist wanting to support him. Upon hearing these words, Chen Xizhou couldn't help but frown. At the morning town alliance meeting, he had already given this group of monsters a new name, and shouting it out in public like this was hitting him in the face as the town mayor. Yu Lijie doesn't seem to care about this, but instead feels pleased with his recent speech. Bah! The two mounted goats did not agree with Yu Lijie's words, but they did not launch any further attacks. Instead, they opposed what Yu Lijie said by speaking out. Everyone present knows that with the strength of these little elves, they can easily knock down or kill everyone present. Yu Lijie also knows. But he looks confident and fearless. Extremely arrogant and despicable. Although these losses should not be borne by the town alliance, I can promise you that the town alliance will provide some compensation to Guanghui village, ensuring that the common people will not suffer unbearable losses due to the little elves. After speaking, Chen Xizhou looked at Yu Qin and said, Secretary Yu, please ask Xiaojiang and his team to implement this matter in the next few days and give the villagers of Guanghui village a satisfactory answer. Chen Xizhou looked at Yu Lijie. Upon hearing these words, Yu Lijie nodded contentedly. Then he looked at the two mounted goats behind Chen Xizhou with a provocative expression on his face. The thumping appearance made people couldn't help but want to punch him. The two mounted goats were originally planning to erupt, but gradually calmed down under Chen Xizhou's bold touch. External conflicts have always been the best mediator of internal barriers, not to mention Chen Xizhou and two mounted goats who already have no barriers. Yu Lijie's divine assist directly earned Chen Xizhou the trust of the mounted goat. With Mayor Chen's assurance, the little old man and the villagers of Guanghui village can rest assured. We will definitely fully support Mayor Chen's work. Yu Lijie continued, if there's nothing else, the little old man will go back and announce this good news to the villagers first. Before leaving, Yu Lijie added, by the way, since Mayor Chen has promised to compensate the villagers of Guanghui village, then these fruits and melons can be eaten by these monsters. Yu Lijie's proud figure gradually drifted away. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Obtaining the friendship of the Elf clan. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Obtaining the friendship of the Elf clan. Chen Xizhou took a deep breath and then forgot about Yu Lijie's rude behavior just now. This kind of person doesn't need to worry, he has his own thoughts on it. Chen Xizhou turned his head to look at the two mounted goats next to him, and couldn't help but vigorously masturbate the thick leaf hair on their necks. The feel is really good. Nowadays, he is becoming more and more bold about two mounted goats. Because he found that these mount goats and mount lambs were really as gentle as in the system introduction. Although mounted goats can only read human emotions from the subtle differences in their horns, Chen Xizhou's obvious affectionate behavior also makes them feel the love from humans. They involuntarily pressed their cheeks against Chen Xizhou's face. Chen Xizhou patted two big guys and said, "Mount the goats. From now on, all your food will be supplied by Langqi Town. In exchange, how about you produce a certain amount of goat milk for us every day?" Chen Xizhou decided to distribute according to work, and those who produce more sheep milk will have more food. How much milk is produced and how much fruit is produced? Two mounted goats exchanged a glance, pondered for a moment, and then nodded meekly towards Chen Xizhou. I have agreed. The goat-riding tribe sold themselves to Chen Xizhou and Langqi Town in a confused manner. Chen Xizhou was very happy to see the two mounted goats, who were the leaders, agree. This is a small step for Langqi Town and the mounted goat clan, but it is a big step for humans and elves. Thinking of this, Chen Xizhou once again resorted to riding goats. After seeing the intimate interaction between Chen Xizhou and two mounted goats, several other cadres couldn't help but pick up the gradually gathered mounted lambs. One of the cadres couldn't help but pick up a camera and run to the field ridge, recording the entire harmonious and warm scene. This is the photo hanging at the top of the mayor's office in the future. Xiao Jiang, you've been working hard for the past few days. We must register the losses of Guanghui village in place and compensate them properly. Only by leaving them speechless can we proceed with the next step of work. Chen Xizhou said to one of the cadres. This cadre's name is Jiang Liang, and he is also in his 20s. At this time, he has boldly mounted the back of a riding lamb. Got it, Chen. Mayor. Before Jiang Liang could finish speaking, the mischievous mount lamb had already scattered its hooves and ran out. Jiang Liang stumbled and was taken out by a mounted lamb. Seeing Jiang Liang's funny appearance, Chen Xizhou and a few others smiled knowingly and tried to ride the mount goats and mount lambs around them. This group of little elves showed no resistance at all. Fate, sometimes it's just so wonderful. Just now, village chief Yu was really too arrogant. On the way back to the town, Yu Qin couldn't help but complain to Chen Xizhou. Although Yu Lijie did not provoke Yu Qin, his behavior of slapping the mayor in the face was equivalent to slapping all the officials in the town alliance building. This is a great shame. When I was in college, my mentor specifically spent a month discussing a topic with us. The root of farmers' shortcomings. Chen Xizhou said, the harm caused by family culture and traditional education is fatal. In most rural areas, the continuation of the entire family for several generations and hundreds of years has not created a set of cognitive concepts and habitual systems suitable for their own family, which is unavoidable. But ultimately, they are all from Langqi Town, so we don't need to worry too much about some things. We need to grasp the root cause and focus on the education of the next generation in Langqi Town. Yu Qin nodded. Although Chen Xizhou didn't say anything, she had already heard Chen Xizhou's voice. Take care of the education of the next generation, and this generation will ignore them. The leader of Langqi Town is not so easy to deal with. Besides Guanghui village, the second largest fruit planting area in Langqi Town is Guanghui village, and their village chief Lin Renda is known for his honesty. Yu Qin seems to have a very deep impression of Lin Renda. Chen Xizhou smiled and said, you can meet this village chief Lin another day when you have time. Let's see if he's as honest as secretary you said. No need to reschedule, today is enough. Yu Qin pointed to the distance, look, village chief Lin has already brought the villagers of Guanming village to meet us on the roadside. Chen Xizhou looked up and, as Yu Qin had said, there was already a group of eager people standing on the roadside, who seemed to have waited for quite some time. The wind in Langqi Island is very strong, as can be seen from their messy hair. The fruit planting areas of Guanming village and Guanming village are adjacent, so Guanming village cannot be spared in the event of losses in Guanming village. However, they did not go to the town alliance building to complain. The villagers of Guanming village were originally a little afraid when they saw the arrival of a group of mounted goats, but when they saw Chen Xizhou and Yu Qin riding on the mounted goats and the mounted lambs, they immediately calmed down. There is nothing more useful than a leader taking the lead. Lin Renda, the village chief of Guanming village, stood in front of the queue, and Chen Xizhou saw him at a glance. Lin Renda is tall but somewhat hunchbacked, with a kind and silly black face covered in wrinkles early on, graying hair, and rough hands that always like to rub their cigarette sticks when they have something to do. Hello Mayor Chen. Hello Mayor Chen. Under the leadership of Lin Renda, the villagers of Guanming village warmly welcomed the arrival of Chen Xizhou and other cadres. Although it may not be as exaggerated as the rice bowl, there are still a few bowls of clean water. This scene contrasts sharply with the villagers of Guanghui village before. After half an hour of conversation with Lin Renda, Chen Xizhou confirmed that the village head of Guanming village was indeed an honest old farmer. When Chen Xizhou finished his conversation and was about to return to the town, he found that several bold young people in Guanming village had actually learned from Jiang Liang and others by riding on the small sheep. Lin Renda scolded the young people on the spot, saying that they did not understand etiquette. The young people were just planning to come here to apologize when Chen Xizhou stopped them, and he was happy to see it happen. It's good for young people to be bold. If they like, they can bring one back to raise, and I think the little lambs will also be happy to ride on it. Regarding Chen Xizhou's words, Lin Renda remains non-committal. Lin Renda has been the village head of Guanming village for decades, and there are some things he must consider carefully. Even the most honest farmers will be cautious, and even more so when facing issues that concern their own interests. On the way back to the town, Chen Xizhou said to Yu Qin, record that our next focus will be on two aspects. One is the compensation for the villagers' losses in Guanghui village, and the other is to negotiate with Guanghui village about the possibility of fruit supply. Yu Qin quickly recorded the two tasks assigned by Chen Xizhou in her notebook. Chen Xizhou looked around and suddenly noticed something was wrong. He looked at Yu Qin in confusion and asked, did I forget something? At the same time, on the roadside of the fruit planting area in Guanghui village, a pink figure was slowly crawling. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Establishing Elf Relations Department. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6 Establishing Elf Relations Department. After Chen Xizhou successfully retrieved the dull beast, the team continued to march towards Langqi Town. Due to its slow movement, the dumb beast is temporarily carried by the second in command of the mounted goat tribe, the smaller female mounted goat. After entering the town, the appearance of this mixed team of people and elves caused strong emotional fluctuations among the residents of the town. They showed great unease towards the sudden intrusion of these wild elves. Before entering the town, Chen Xizhou had already provided psychological training to the mounted goat leader in a similar situation, so the mounted goat leader quickly calmed down the restless mounted lamb. Mayor Chen Xizhou and 4 other members of the town alliance rode their respective elf companions around the small sheep herd. This behavior can not only restrain those panicked little lambs, but also make the town residents who are watching on the roadside feel at ease. This group of people who are willing to watch are bold or not resistant to elves. Seeing their curious eyes occupying a greater proportion, Chen Xizhou thoughtfully called for Yuqin to whisper. Soon, the other 4 cadres led by Yuqin began to spread an idea to the surrounding residents. This is our own elf in Langqi Town. The seed of thought has been planted, and the next step is to wait for it to slowly take root and sprout. Until one day it grows into a towering tree. After a slow march, the team finally returned to the town alliance building before dark. At this point, Chen Xizhou and his officials are facing a question. Where will the goat-riding tribe be settled? Although there is a large square in front of the town alliance building, such living conditions obviously cannot meet the needs of the goat-riding tribe. For them, the wild mountain forest and grassland environment is definitely more comfortable than the cold marble square. Yuqin suggested, why not let the mounted goat clan temporarily stay on the mountain behind the town alliance building for a few days? The development of Langqi Town is very backward. There is only one asphalt road from east to west here, and the rest of the residential areas and various functional buildings are separated on both sides of the road. Further to both sides are mountains and farmland. So it's not surprising that there is a back mountain behind the town alliance building. The mounted goat clan gladly accepted the arrangement of the town alliance. In fact, such an arrangement can make them more at ease. After all, they have become accustomed to living in the mountains and wilderness. I'll trouble you to work an extra shift tonight. After all, there is still a lot of work to be arranged tomorrow. Regarding Chen Xizhou's request, several officials led by Yuqin immediately stated that it was within their responsibilities. Except for Yuqin, the other cadres are all young people about the same age as Chen Xizhou, and this kind of work makes them curious about new creatures full of enthusiasm. The interaction experience with the elves today gave them too much insight and understanding that this matter is currently the urgent focus of the town alliance's 100,000 work. Only by formulating a suitable constitution as soon as possible can everyone's heart be set. Conference room. At the signal of Chen Xizhou, Yuqin opened her notebook and flipped through today's records, clearly saying, "We already have 2 tasks to complete." The other 3 cadres were also sitting upright at this moment, taking out their notebooks to start recording. Yuqin looked at Jiang Liang and said, "One is the compensation work for the villagers' losses in Guanghui village, which is a task that the town alliance must complete in a short period of time. According to the assignment of the town mayor, it is entrusted to Comrade Jiang Liang." Jiang Liang immediately replied, "Ensure the completion of the task." Chen Xizhou emphasized, "This matter must be done quickly and well, and the highest subsidy must be given to the villagers of Guanghui village." Jiang Liang nodded while recording, and by the time Chen Xizhou and Yuqin finished speaking, he had already taken note. Yuqin continued, "The second task is to negotiate fruit supply cooperation with Guangming village. Currently, the mayor of Guangming village has already communicated with Lin Renda, the village chief of Guangming village, regarding this work. The main differences between the 2 sides are the price and subsequent cooperation issues. The current output of the fruit planting area in Guangming village is fully capable of meeting the needs of the goat riding tribe, and the price issue mainly depends on our demand in the next month. If the demand is unstable, Guangming village will supply fruits at a price 20% higher than the wholesale price. If it is stable and the quantity is large, Guangming village will supply fruits to us at the normal wholesale price. Yu Qin asked, Mayor Chen, this job. Chen Xizhou replied, this task will be entrusted to Xizhou. Xizhou nodded in agreement. Yu Qin looked at Xizhou and continued, Comrade Xiao Qi will now be fully responsible for the procurement of fruits in Guangming village. Tomorrow morning, you need to prepare the first batch of fruits needed by the goat riding tribe. You need to immediately implement this matter. After the second task was arranged clearly, Yu Qin and others turned their attention back to Chen Xizhou. Chen Xizhou said, at present, our town alliance is going to establish a new department, the Elf Relations Development and Research Department, abbreviated as the Elf Relations Department, with the subordinate Elf Center as the daily organization, temporarily managed by Kuyen. Kuyen is the female cadre who helped record the names of the Mount Goat and the Mount Lamb today, and also took photos at the field ridge. The town alliance structure of Langqi Town can be said to be very poor. Although there are many departments, most of them have offices with signs hanging on them, without even a serious cadre. The four cadres in front of us, including Mayor's Secretary Yu Qin, Jiang Liang, Xizhou, and Kuyen, can be said to be the only few backbone members of the Langqi Town Alliance. However, the unfinished work of the Town Alliance can also prevent Chen Xizhou from being constrained in the reconstruction process. It can only be said that there are advantages and disadvantages. At present, the main responsibility of this department is to record, number, and study all familiar elves. In short, this is a heavy and arduous task, and one must have the spirit of daring to be the first in the world. Chen Xizhou turned to look at Kuyen and said, Senior Sister Ku, I'll trouble you with this matter. Kuyen graduated 2 years earlier than Chen Xizhou and belongs to Chen Xizhou's senior sister. Her watery gaze always exudes a deep sense of tranquility and gentleness. At this moment, she is rarely a bit excited. However, the excitement in her eyes was not related to promotion, but rather to the job responsibilities of the department. Although suddenly promoted as the head of a department, in towns like Langqi Town, this title can only be considered a nominal title. It's not worth mentioning at all. Including others, what everyone values is the future of Langqi Town. The emergence of elves and the town mayor's strong promotion of the development of the elf industry have shown everyone a promising future. Because this is a bright development direction. The meeting has come to an end. Mayor's secretary Yu Qin stayed alone. She came to Chen Xizhou and said, Mayor Chen, there is a white deer village near Guangming village where we passed by today, and there is an idle breeding farm. Idle farms. He knows about Bailu village, but he is curious about this idle breeding farm. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Information on abandoned livestock farms. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7 Information on abandoned livestock farms. In Yu Qin's introduction, Chen Xizhou gradually gained a preliminary understanding of this breeding farm. This breeding farm, located near Bailu village, was previously invested and constructed by a breeding company from the northwest to raise local high goats in Langqi. However, due to high goat production, the farm was unable to make ends meet all year round, and in the end, the breeding company had to regretfully give up on this heavily invested project. So, this farm has been idle ever since. So its ownership. It still belongs to that breeding company, but the town alliance can acquire this breeding farm, and the price will not be too high. Yu Qin's introduction moved Chen Xizhou. Let's go and see together tomorrow. If possible, you can contact that company in the name of the town alliance to see if there is a possibility of acquisition. Chen Xizhou still plans to conduct an on-site investigation. Silent all night the next morning, the horn of the transport vehicle sounded on the square in front of the town alliance building. The car was loaded with a large number of melons and watermelons from Guangming village, which Xizhou had already contacted last night. They were also the rations for the goat riding tribe in recent days. However, the specific daily quota for each elf still needs to be observed for a few days to determine. Chen Xizhou woke up early in the morning and waited on the square, happily greeting the arrival of the transport vehicle. To his surprise, Qi Jinsheng was also in the transport vehicle. He looked slightly haggard, either waking up early and going to the countryside, or going straight to the countryside without sleeping last night, but his mental state still seemed quite strong. It is obvious that Qi Jinsheng loves this job. In addition to Qi Jinsheng, there is also a driver in the transport vehicle. The driver's name is Lin Fengyun, a young man from Guangming village, who is slightly older than Chen Xizhou. Qi Jinsheng gave Chen Xizhou a brief introduction. This transport vehicle belongs to the Lin Fengyun family. The task of transporting fruits was originally carried out by Lin Rentong, the father of Lin Fengyun. However, after learning that this trip was for transporting fruits to mounted goats, Lin Fengyun voluntarily took over the task. Young people have always had a strong curiosity. For this group of unknown and mysterious creatures, he is not more afraid than curious than others, but interested and also wants to have more contact. Under the leadership of Chen Xizhou, the transport vehicle filled with fruits quickly arrived at the back of the town alliance building. Behind that is the back mountain. To everyone's surprise, the resting place for 2 mounted goats and mounted lambs was located on the wasteland behind the town alliance building, and they did not go up the mountain in search of a more comfortable habitat. It seems that the obedience of these elves is very high. As the leader of a tribe, 2 mounted goats have an obligation to protect the safety of the tribe. Their strong strength gives them a higher level of vigilance than their tribe members, and they are already aware when the transport vehicle just turns the corner. At this point, the 2 mounted goats have aligned their sharp horns with the direction of the transport vehicle. Until Chen Xizhou's figure appeared, the 2 goats on horseback finally let go of their guard and came to his side. "Good morning, mount the goat." Chen Xizhou rubbed the horns of the 2 goats on horseback and pointed to the transport vehicle, saying, "There are melons and watermelons that you like to eat on the car. I have temporarily wronged you in the past few days. I am already helping you find a more suitable habitat, so please be patient first." The leader of the mounted goat felt his apology through Chen Xizhou's caress and affectionately arched his head, indicating that he didn't need to worry. He is truly a considerate mount goat. "So, let's start unloading." After greeting the mounted goat, Chen Xizhou summoned Qi Jinsheng and Lin Fengyun to start unloading the cart full of fruits. Fortunately, these watermelons and cantaloupes are all packed in big bamboo baskets. Although each basket requires the joint efforts of 3 people, it is more time-saving and labor-saving compared to the unloading method of one-by-one handling. In fact, the 3 of them only worked hard on the first basket. Because starting from the second basket of fruits, the mounted lambs unloaded the goods themselves under the command of 2 mounted goats. Except for a few very small mount lambs that looked like young ones, all the other mount lambs extended 2 dark green vine whips from the leafy green mane on their necks. These rattan whips flexibly pass through the 2 ears of the big bamboo basket, and then lift them steadily. Both mounted goats can unload a basket of fruits alone, while other mounted lambs require 2 to 3 joint forces to successfully unload a basket of fruits. From this, it can be seen that there is a significant difference in strength between riding goats and riding lambs. With the goat riding tribe taking care of themselves, a cart of fruits was quickly unloaded onto the open ground. Chen Xizhou aligned with Jinsheng and said, "The specific distribution of food is entrusted to the leader of the mounted goat. It is professional, and you are responsible for recording it." At this moment, Lin Fengyun came to find Qi Jinsheng to sign the order. After Qi Jinsheng finished signing, Lin Fengyun looked at Chen Xizhou with a hesitant expression, as if he had something to say. Chen Xizhou naturally noticed Lin Fengyun's entanglement and smiled. "Lin, just say whatever you have, don't worry too much." Although Chen Xizhou's words were spoken, Lin Fengyun hesitated for a while before speaking up. "I heard from Mayor Chen yesterday that if we like to ride lambs, we can bring one home to raise. Is that true?" In fact, Lin Fengyun prefers a strong and majestic goat mount, but he knows this is unrealistic. Chen Xizhou originally thought that what Lin Fengyun wanted to say was related to fruit supply, but he didn't expect that he had been thinking about this matter all along. However, After listening, Chen Xizhou unconsciously raised the corner of his mouth. That's right, if you like to ride a lamb and it's also willing, you can indeed adopt one to raise. Just as Lin Fengyun was about to express his excitement, Chen Xizhou poured him another bucket of cold water. But don't be too busy and happy, Brother Lin, because this matter has not been finalized yet. All the projects related to the elves we are currently working on are crossing the river by feeling the stones, and it will take some time to discuss and develop a suitable plan. Chen Xizhou continued, but I can give you a guarantee that this matter will be implemented by the Town Alliance within a month. Then, Brother Lin, you can adopt a mounted lamb. Although Lin Fengyun was a bit impatient, he was also a reasonable person who could distinguish between importance and urgency, and immediately expressed willingness to wait. The time has arrived at 9 o'clock. Yu Qin found Chen Xizhou and said, Mayor, I have already contacted Bailu village. Next, we can go directly to the abandoned breeding farm. On the way to Bailu village, Yu Qin reported some information she had collected about the breeding farm to Chen Xizhou. As he was looking for a suitable habitat for the mounted goat tribe, Chen Xizhou brought the mounted goat leader with him this time. Yu Qin also rode on the little lamb she met yesterday. After leaving Langqi Town for over half an hour, a large building appeared in front of Chen Xizhou and Yu Qin. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Exchange of Abandoned Livestock Farms. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8 Exchange of Abandoned Livestock Farms. When Chen Xizhou saw the farm, he was very shocked. He originally thought that the abandoned breeding farm mentioned by Yu Qinko was just an ordinary breeding farm, but who would have thought it was actually a very modern large-scale breeding building complex. It can be seen from this how much investment that breeding company made here back then. What is the determination of the brave man to give up the project after breaking his wrist? In such a remote and impoverished place, many industries that want to transfer at low prices do not have suitable buyers. Not to mention spending a huge cost to dismantle them and take them out of Langqi Island. Soon, Chen Xizhou and his delegation arrived at the breeding farm smoothly. The village chief of Bailu village, Bai Pingjiang, was welcoming Chen Xizhou at the door with a few young people. When Bai Jiangping saw the mount goat and the mount lamb, he clearly took a few steps back and appeared somewhat scared. Don't worry, these are our own elf mount goats and mount lambs in Langqi Town. They have a gentle personality and won't easily attack people. Faced with Yu Qin's introduction, Bai Jiangping reluctantly accepted it. However, he deliberately maintained a distance from the mount goat and the mount lamb. The acceptance ability of young people is far beyond that of the elderly. The young people from Bailu village who followed Bai Jiangping not only looked at the mount goats curiously, but also boldly patted the mount goats. If you like it, the Town Alliance will open for adoption in a while, and you can also adopt a little lamb on horseback to go home. Chen Xizhou's words made these young people overjoyed. Bai Jiangping glared at the young man and then prepared to take Chen Xizhou and his team to visit the breeding farm. Although this breeding farm has been abandoned for a long time, in order to welcome the town mayor's visit, Bai Pingjiang still led people to tidy up the entrance slightly. The village chief Bai Pingjiang is still very concerned about the movements of the leader of Langqi Town. If the mayor is interested in any projects in or near Bailu village, it is very likely to involve the interests of Bailu village in the future. As the village chief of Bailu village, Bai Pingjiang feels that he must consider the villagers. After a few brief pleasantries, Bai Pingjiang and Chen Xizhou began to visit this integrated abandoned aquaculture farm. These 4 buildings are railings. Bai Pingjiang pointed to the 4 orderly buildings in front of him and said, in order to facilitate breeding and management, we tried to shorten the transportation route as much as possible, which not only benefited from lighting but also made it easier to prevent wind. Therefore, when constructing the fence, we adopted a long-axis parallel configuration. Entering the enclosure, Chen Xizhou realized that there was another universe inside. Bai Jiangping said proudly, I'm surprised that even the facilities here are top-notch in the world today. The fence adopts the world's most advanced sliding roof design, intelligent sprinkler and lighting system, fixed automatic mixing system and other technologies, which not only increase comfort but also improve operational efficiency. But now these facilities are covered in dust, and it's clear that they haven't been used for a long time. Arrive outside the fence. Chen Xizhou observed that the road planning around the fence house and between the houses in the field was very orderly. There are corresponding greenery on both sides of the road and around the buildings of the breeding farm, which is conducive to regulating the microclimate during the summer and winter seasons. However, at this time, the green belt was already overgrown with weeds and dead trees due to being left unattended for a long time. Chen Xizhou noticed that the village chief of Bailu village in front of him seemed very familiar with the breeding farm. He expressed his doubts. Bai Jiangping awkwardly smiled and then explained. Chen Xizhou only then realized that the construction of this Ili aquaculture farm had involved the entire village of Bailu, and after its completion, all the employees of the farm came from the villagers of Bailu village. No wonder Bai Jiangping was so proud when introducing the fence architecture just now. Bai Jiangping said solemnly, so if the breeding farm can be established again, it will be an opportunity for Bailu village. Upon hearing the meaning in the words, Chen Xizhou did not immediately take over the conversation. Bai Jiangping continued to visit with Chen Xizhou. In addition to 4 large pens, the breeding ground is also equipped with multiple functional buildings such as a feed mixing room, feed storage, water tower, harmless treatment point, manure storage yard, and veterinary room. What surprised Chen Xizhou even more was that behind these architectural complexes was an endless grassland. The purple clover, known as the king of pasture, grows on the grassland. Alfalfa, originally from Western Asia, is a perennial herbaceous plant in the legume family. It is rich in protein, vitamins, and micronutrients, and is highly favored by farmers. In addition to a large amount of alfalfa, there are also some grasses and leafy vegetables mixed in, which can be considered as a disadvantage of not overfeeding alfalfa. It can be seen from this that Ili Company has put a lot of effort into this breeding farm. Chen Xizhou rubbed the horns of the goat leader's mount and asked, "How do you like it? Do you like it?" The leader of the mounted goat did not answer immediately. It first lowered its head and took a few bites of grass, then began to run wildly on the grassland. That astonishing speed is by no means slower than any car. This breeding farm originally raised the local high goats of Langqi, so there are many strange and rugged mountains on one side of the grassland. Very suitable for high goat activities. After arriving at the border, the leader of the mounted goat leaped up the mountain with agility, and disappeared from sight at the highest point after 3 to 5 divisions. Chen Xizhou didn't care either, but asked Yuqin to take out a disposable paper cup. In the surprised gazes of Bai Jiangping and others, Yuqin took 6 cups of goat milk from under the mount of little sheep. 6 people exactly have 1 cup per person. Give it a try. Chen Xizhou and Yuqin finished drinking sheep's milk from the cup in 1 gulp. Seeing the 2 of them looking unsatisfied, the young people of Bailu village also began to try goat milk produced by elves. Ha! One of the young people drank sheep's milk from a paper cup in surprise and said to Bai Jiangping, "Uncle Jiangping, try it quickly. The taste is really good." This young man is usually very stable and is a promising candidate for Bai Jiangping. Seeing him saying this, Bai Jiangping couldn't help but take a sip of sheep's milk on his lips, and the first sip caught the attention of the village chief of Bailu village. After savoring it carefully, Bai Jiangping expressed his own evaluation. This type of lamb grandmother fragrance is rich, with a mellow taste and a faint sweet aroma of grass. The most important thing is. After drinking all the goat milk from the paper cup, Bai Jiangping solemnly said, "It is more human-friendly and easy to digest and absorb than normal goat milk." This cup of goat milk from the riding lamb made by Pingjiang feel a warm current surging through, and his whole body suddenly filled with strength. If it weren't for being more human-friendly and easily digestible, what would it be? When Ili Farm was producing high mountain goat milk, he also tasted a lot, but never had this cup of goat milk the same effect. Does the sheep milk produced by Warcraft have a better effect than normal sheep milk? Bai Jiangping quickly asked, Mayor Chen, you want to reopen this breeding farm just to. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Langqi Elf Industry Group. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9 Langqi Elf Industry Group. Bai Jiangping's gaze towards Chen Xizhou was somewhat incorrect. He asked, Mayor Chen, do you want to reopen this breeding farm just to raise this group? This group. Mount goats and mount lambs. Ah yes. Mount goats and mount lambs. The speaker this time is Yuqin. By village chief, I believe you have tasted something different from normal sheep milk from the sheep milk you just tasted. So according to your idea, can the sheep milk produced by Mount Little Sheep seize the market of normal sheep milk? Bai Jiangping pondered for a moment and said, objectively speaking, the sheep milk produced by Mount Little Sheep can definitely seize the market of normal sheep milk. The only problem is market acceptance. This question points directly to the core. Not to mention the goat milk market, it is not impossible to snatch a portion of the milk market by relying on the quality of the riding lamb milk. The key issue is that people's acceptance of elves is very low. How can milk produced by elves be accepted by the market? A young man after Bai Zhang's death boldly suggested, what if we don't specify the milk source from the beginning and let the market accept it first? This is definitely a bad idea. Bai Jiangping turned around and glared at the young man. He really had no hair on his mouth and was not reliable in handling things. No, at least Mayor Chen in front of me wouldn't be like this. Otherwise, it wouldn't be his turn to become the mayor. There is indeed a gap between people. Market acceptance is always based on product quality. As long as our sheep milk is superior to other sheep milk in all aspects, we are not afraid of the absence of a market. Unlike the anxiety of several others, Chen Xizhou clearly did not take this issue to heart. There are numerous examples of opening up the market. Since the product quality is up to standard and superior to other milk sources, what are the concerns about market acceptance? As Chen Xizhou said, the goat milk produced by riding lambs is definitely better in terms of nutrition and taste than that produced by normal ewes. The only thing missing now is a quality inspection report. By village chief, if the town alliance restarts this breeding farm, can Bailu village provide some support to the town alliance? This is what Chen Xizhou is considering. If Langqi Town restarts this breeding farm, it will definitely require a large number of employees to maintain the normal operation of the farm. The only way to recruit a certain number of employees in this impoverished Langqi island is to recruit from locals, just like the Ely Company did in the past. Back then, almost every household in Bailu village had people working in this breeding farm. Now that it has only been a few years, the group of operators who return to their old jobs can quickly get started. As for the issues that arise when employees come from the same village, it's not a problem at all. If the breeding farm is built, it will be a town-run collective enterprise, and for newly hired employees, as long as there are no accidents, it will be a lifelong iron rice bowl. No one wants to ruin their own job. During his brief encounter with the mounted goat, Chen Xizhou learned one thing. The most important thing in controlling an elf tribe is to control the tribe leader. There is a friendship between a couple riding goats, and even if there are any problems in the future, no one can affect this ethnic group to serve Langqi Town. This is called preventing problems before they occur. After disappearing for a few minutes, the leader of the mounted goat returned from the rugged mountain area in the distance, bringing back 2 elf eggs for Chen Xizhou. Elves are a type of egg-laying organism. Elf cubs are hatched from elf eggs laid by female elves. The ethnic group that mounts goats also have many undeveloped elf eggs. Although I don't know why the leader of the mounted goat brought back these 2 elf eggs, Chen Xizhou still gladly accepted them. This kindness from the leader of the mounted goat naturally won't be refused. Chen Xizhou rubbed the horns of the goat leader's mount and asked, "Do you like the environment here?" The mounted goat leader kicked twice and nodded with a satisfied expression. You can tell that it really likes the environment here. How about moving the goat-riding tribe here in the future? Although he knew that the leader of the mounted goat would definitely agree, Chen Xizhou still chose to ask the question, which was a polite question. Although the mounted goat leader is an elf, he is also a wise creature, and Chen Xizhou feels that he must give the other party the respect they deserve. The result goes without saying much. Since the leader of the mounted goat is satisfied with this grassland, he will not refuse to move the population's habitat here. By village chief, the next step is on your side. After receiving guarantees from Beipingjiang and Bailu village, the town alliance represented by Chen Xizhou immediately began to take the next step. Firstly, it is the registration of town-run collective enterprises. Due to being personally led by Mayor Chen Xizhou, he obtained a privilege from the Rongqing City Alliance in Rongqing. Originally, the level of Langqi Town was not enough to directly register an alliance enterprise, but a senior official of the Rongqing City Alliance specially granted Langqi Town this qualification. Of course, this is entirely because this high-ranking official initially rejected the Langqi Town Economic Zone project and gave this opportunity to another city, which is why this alliance enterprise privilege was used to compensate for Chen Xizhou. I didn't hear it wrong, it was to make up for Chen Xizhou, not to make up for Langqi Town. Who would say that he is a village official sent by the Central Alliance headquarters as an academic school? Refusing the lining definitely gives some face. Alliance enterprises are divided into Central Alliance enterprises and Local Alliance enterprises. The alliance enterprise that Chen Xizhou applied for registration is called Langqi Elf Industry Group Company, which belongs to the Local Alliance enterprise. Langqi Elf Industry Group Company Limited is invested by the Langqi Town Alliance and engages in asset management activities as a controlling shareholder. The profits generated belong to the finance of the Langqi Town Alliance. Chen Xizhou has once again registered a subsidiary controlled by Langqi Elf Industry Group. Langqi Elf Dairy Company. Secretary Yu, how are you doing on your end? Yu Qin is responsible for the acquisition project of the abandoned breeding farm belonging to the Eli Group by the Langqi Town Alliance. Her movements are also very fast. Originally, this abandoned breeding farm located in Langqi Town was a non-performing asset of Eli Group, a listed company. To put it another way, the chicken ribs mentioned by Prime Minister Chow are tasteless and regretful to discard. Nowadays, someone is willing to take over this idle breeding farm at a discount, which is a good opportunity for Eli Group to get rid of non-performing assets. At least this project will no longer have to appear on company reports every year. It can only be said that everyone is happy. It seems that the person in charge of Rongqing of Eli Group is vigorously pushing for the acquisition case, while the procedures are also proceeding very quickly, as they are afraid that the alliance in Langqi Town will renege midway. In just 3 days, the ownership of this abandoned breeding farm was transferred to Langqi Elf Dairy Company. Now all the procedures are complete, the only thing missing is a certificate. Yu Qin quickly sorted out all the documents and handed them over to Chen Xizhou. Animal Epidemic Prevention and Quarantine Certificate. That's right. Chen Xizhou had some doubts and said, isn't it possible to apply to our local Animal Health Supervision Bureau? Yu Qin awkwardly replied, the key is that we don't have this department in Langqi Town. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Expectations for New Elves. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10 Expectations for New Elves do extraordinary things during extraordinary times. In the afternoon of that day, there was an additional Elf Health Supervision Bureau in Langqi Town. The responsibility of the Animal Health Supervision Bureau is to supervise, inspect and manage animal epidemic prevention and animal product safety. The difference between the two characters has brought about a change in the responsibilities of the new department, the Elf Health Supervision Bureau. The responsibility of the Elf Health Supervision Bureau is to supervise, inspect and manage the epidemic prevention and product safety of elves. In the long run, there will only be more and more elf industries in Langqi Town in the future, and the establishment of this department is very necessary. Looking closer, Chen Xizhou plans to implement a new policy of adopting elves in Langqi Town in a few days. Applying for a qualified certificate of epidemic prevention and quarantine for elves will become a necessary step in the adoption procedures for elves. As for how to carry out epidemic prevention and quarantine, it is natural to copy the same process as animal health supervision. Mayor, there is currently a huge shortage of personnel in the town alliance, and these newly established alliance enterprises and parts require a large number of cadres and staff to fill in. Chen Xizhou has actually considered the question raised by Yuqin for a few days. Nowadays, the various tasks of the town alliance are gradually being carried out, and the original manpower is far from enough. It is time to face public recruitment in society. You will be responsible for this in advance. It is currently graduation season, and it is necessary to recruit some fresh graduates with strong acceptance ability to enter various departments. For example, the backbone of Langqi Elf Industry Group should preferably be elderly people with work experience. Let's see if Eli Group can help us with this. Talents are the foundation for the normal operation of a group company. At present, Langqi Elf Industry Group Company can only be considered a shell, and the demand for talent is not urgent. But Langqi Mimi Fresh Milk Company, Limited is about to start operating and urgently needs a large number of talents. As a leader in the same industry, Eli Group should have a considerable reserve of such talents, so it is definitely right to find them. In addition, Director Ke's adoption policy should also be discussed as soon as possible to come up with a suitable constitution, which should be implemented at the same time as the goat riding family moves to Langqi breeding farm. The adoption procedures were arranged by Chen Xizhou to be handled by the Elf Relations Department and Kuyen. Not all Mount lambs like to produce milk. Some of them yearn for freedom, some are accustomed to fighting, and some like to make friends with humans adhering to the basic principle of harmonious coexistence between humans and elves, and respecting the rights of elves. Chen Xizhou has decided not to force the little lamb to do things he does not like. On the basis of certain welfare benefits, the breeding ground will increase the various welfare benefits for the riding lambs who are willing to produce milk, allowing them to live a more comfortable life. This is the meaning of more work, more pay. After recording all of Chen Xizhou's requests, Yuqin turned around and left. Her task was a bit heavier than the others. Yadong, Chen Xizhou has just finished his current work, and the dull beast doesn't know when it will appear at the office entrance. Dumb beast, I've been too busy lately and ignored you. I'm very sorry. I couldn't tell if I didn't care, but the silly beast slowly crawled in and lay leisurely next to Chen Xizhou's desk with a silly face. Chen Xizhou stretched lazily and skillfully took out a bag of dried fish from the drawer. Start feeding the dull beast one by one. This brand of dried fish is a favorite snack of silly beasts, and it is also currently Chen Xizhou's biggest expense. Chen Xizhou had no other expenses besides buying dried fish for the dull beast. Sigh, I don't know when I can live a corrupt life with gifts. Not too much, just give a few pounds of dried fish as a gift. After interacting with the silly beast, Chen Xizhou poured another basin of warm water and gently wiped the 2 elf eggs on the soft cushion with a towel. These 2 elf eggs are exactly the ones given by the leader of the mounted goat. I don't know what kind of elf will hatch. Chen Xizhou is quite looking forward to it. Let's go find the mounted goat leader. After wiping the 2 elf eggs, Chen Xizhou picked them up and brought the dumbfounded beast to the back door of the town alliance building. The mounted goat clan already has many elf eggs themselves. So Chen Xizhou believes that they must have a clear understanding of how to hatch elf eggs. After explaining the purpose of the visit, the female mounted goat stated that it was responsible for this matter, and these 2 elf eggs were handed over to it for incubation. Seeing that the leader of the mounted goat was not around, Chen Xizhou casually asked, "Has Palm gone to take care of the grassland again?" Palm is the name given by Chen Xizhou to the male mounted goat leader. Female mounted goats are called vanilla. If you don't give a recognizable name, not to mention the large number of mount lambs, it's easy to confuse calling 2 mount goats. Mount Goat Leader Palm visits the grassland every day and has two very good skills to help the grass grow. One is a skill named photosynthesis by the system. After using this skill, the mounted goat leader can absorb sunlight or moonlight, bringing abundant vitality to grass that is not growing well. The second skill is named grassland by the system. After using this skill, the mounted goat leader can form a special area within a certain range, providing vigorous vitality to the grass. At first glance, the roles of the two skills seem a bit repetitive. Actually, it's not the case. The biggest difference between the two is the difference in the gain range and effect of the two skills. Photosynthesis is similar to individual recovery skills that require a large amount of treatment, while grassland is similar to large-scale group recovery skills. However, any skill can make the grass on the playground grow vigorously. It can be seen that the palm loves this grassland very much. In addition to riding the goat leader palm, who masters these two skills, his wife Vanilla also masters these two skills at the same time. Other mount lambs can master one of these skills to some extent. There are few who can master two skills at the same time. If the leader of the tribe likes this grassland, it means that the entire mounted goat tribe will love it. In addition to the grassland, the breeding ground also has a large area of pens, which is a comfortable little nest for the goat riding tribe to shelter from wind and rain. However, checking in with your bag will take a few more days. Because the overall hygiene of the breeding ground is not yet done well, the villagers of Bailu village, led by the village chief by Pingjiang, are working overtime to clean this abandoned breeding ground. They will become grassroots employees of Langqi Mimi Fresh Milk. Vanilla, there's one more thing I need your help with and the mounted goat clan. The female mount goat gave Chen Xizhou a tap of Vanilla, causing him to just speak up. It and the mount goat tribe will do their best. It's like this, I received a batch of wild elves a few days ago and I'm not sure if they will attack me, so. Xiang Cao glanced at Chen Xizhou and expressed 100 hearts. Even if Chen Xizhou is slightly harmed, the goat riding tribe will no longer have the face to enjoy the comfortable life of food and clothing. Chen Xizhou still couldn't understand the sound of Vanilla. But with these few days of contact, he was able to roughly understand its meaning from the rich expressions and movements of Vanilla. With the assurance of Vanilla, Chen Xizhou now has the confidence to receive the elf tribe gifted by the system. It's really exciting. End of this chapter.